Welcome to the Boone Podcast. I'm Bret Boone, and today on the program, I sit down with an all-star and a World Series champion.
I sacrificed a lot to come to New York. I wanted to be a part of something special.
He made me a better player, a better person.
Roy Halladay is my guy, man. He was tough.
Hey, welcome everybody to the Bret Boone Podcast. I'm Rich Herrera from the Infinity Sports Network. That, of course, is a hitting coach of the Texas Rangers during the All-Star break. Boonie, what's going on?
How you doing, Rich? Detoxing. I'm at home. I got a little time back in San Diego, and I'm getting on a plane in the morning, head back for the second half. So it's good coming home, good getting a little bit of a break, but back to the grind tomorrow.
Well, I sent you a text message yesterday. Do you see Arnie's shoes?
Tremendous. I want a pair. I actually reached out to the guy that made them. I said, I need one of I need a pair of those. But he gave me a great response back. Aaron custom designed him himself. That's great. But he did not say, I'll send you a pair. So now I'm going to have to follow up my DM. That's what we call it, a DM.
Yes,
so
that's all the kids call it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if anybody saw
I slid into his DM.
That's so cringe. That's what the kids say.
I agree.
In case anybody noticed, when Aaron was managing the American League last night, he had on a Boone family shoe with Ray, Bob, and Bret's name and number on there in their respective teams they played for. I thought it was pretty cool.
It was cool. And you know what? I liked it because Aaron actually sent – I had dinner with mom and dad last night. So my mom had the actual version where Aaron sent them to her.
Oh,
and he kind of he modeled them, like he spun them around so you could see all. It was cool. The ones they posted had me and Gramps in the front. For bias reasons, I like that, but no, it was really cool seeing Grandpa recognized there with the Ike Boone. That was his nickname, and no, cool shoes. Pretty awesome. They had the Yankee logo on the front. You couldn't see it from that picture, but the 360 view it's a really cool. I'm sure he'll put those in his trophy case. Those are really I thought a classy touch.
I think you need a pair to wear when you're walking around down in Texas to go along with those cowboy boots.
Yeah, to go to dinner. Yes, absolutely.
All right, let's talk a little bit about what goes on as a hitting coach in this job. But I don't want to talk to you about this. I'm tired of talking to you about this. I want to bring on the mayor, Sean Casey, because you two have walked in those same footsteps. He actually jumped into the middle of the season and became a hitting instructor just like you. So I want to talk to a guy that's actually done this before, and Sean Casey, MLB Network, the mayor, joining us right now on the Bret Boone Podcast. Sean, how are you?
Good, Rich. How's it going, man?
Good. All right. Boonie's whining about how tough this job is. You've done it. What do you think? I
hear him. I hear what he's saying. You know, when you're the hitting coach, you know you never sleep that well because you got 5 guys locked in, 8 that aren't, and you got 8 guys locked in, 5 that aren't. You're like, how do I lock them? You know, you don't sleep well in that job, Boonie, right?
Yeah, and you know, Rich, this is the funny part. When Sean signed on a couple years ago, I happened to be there visiting Aaron for his first day. Well, it was in Anaheim.
Anaheim, yeah.
Yeah, so I just happened. Aaron was in town, and that was a day that I had planned to go up and say hi, and that was the first day. And here comes Casey out of the locker room with his uni on, and I remember we were talking, and I'm like, "Hey, congratulations, this and that." And he goes, "Boonie, what do you think?" What do you think? And I looked at him. I said, "What do I think? You're the hitting coach. Figure it out." Yeah. We talked a little bit about it, but yeah, it's definitely unique. It's definitely, and I think Sean could tell you, it's definitely until you step in and do it, it's going to surprise you, the twists and the turns. But I think, Sean, and what I'm finding out is it's you live and die with these guys, as you said. You know, You got, and I like to put it, I've said it probably to the point of nauseum. We all watch our sons, which I want to talk. Your son just got drafted recently. I want to talk before I get out of here, but you've got 12 or 13 kids all of a sudden that you're pulling for, you're living and dying with on a daily basis from that dugout. Because you see all the work that goes in pregame. And then that game starts, and man, I've never felt a lack of control of anything in my life when that national anthem ends and those kids go out there to play. It's like I'm watching 12 Jake Boones,
Right.
and I'm living and dying, and the guys that are getting hits, it's just like fireworks inside, and the guys that are struggling, you're just living every moment with them, and it's tough. And I told people the difference is from being a player, and being a player is a grind. You got 162 games, but you kind of have the attitude. Tomorrow's another day. Tomorrow's another day. You might get 2 hits. You lose the game. You're going to sleep okay tonight. You live to fight another day. On the staff side, being the hitting coach, it's almost like when you win, you're not excited. It's almost relief, like we won. And then when you lose, it's just the world. The sky is falling.
Sure.
So it's definitely a different set of emotions you go through from a coach versus the player. When as a player, you're kind of shielded from all the minutia that goes flying around, and you just kind of play your game. And hey, today I was 0 for 3. We won. Great. Let's go play tomorrow. I was 3 for 4 today, and we lost that game. Yeah, you never like to lose, but I'm going to be okay because my swing's going, and I feel good for tomorrow. So it's just a different world you live in as a player versus a staff member, and I'm learning that. But the one thing you get asked about it all the time, and the one thing I hang my hat on is I think all the emotions you go through on a daily basis. I think when you win and you're successful, it's really, really rewarding and really gratifying for that to happen. So the key is we got to win and be successful,
and get a lot of hits,
and get a lot of hits. And the good thing is, I've seen these guys when I first came in, and we were struggling, and we went through our struggles, and we pitched our butt off for the first month I was there. The last month, though, that my guys have really started to click in, and the guys you expect, Adolis, Garcia's, he's getting better. Corey Seager's starting to be Corey Seager, which is really important to have that big guy in the middle of the lineup. Simeon's really come on, and he's playing. He's
what
just
about
a pro.
What about Wyatt Langford, man? I mean,
Wyatt Langford.
I like that kid.
He's going to be, I call him Little Bo Jackson. And he kind of like that. He's 23 years old.
Yeah.
He's got such a big skill set. He's so big and strong. And he's just learning on the job, Sean. Most of us, when we're 22, 23, you don't have these high expectations in the big leagues. You're just getting your feet wet. And that's what he's doing. He's learning. And when he gets it for real, and I tell him all the time, I said, when you get it, he's going to be an annual MVP guy, an MVP nominee.
Wow, you think he's that good, Boonie?
I think he's that good, and I think right now he's a really good player. But I think the sky's the limit for this guy. I think in a few years you're going to look back and you're going to be talking about Trout in that. When you have the preseason MVP, who's your MVP this year? He's going to be in that discussion. He's that talented of a guy. Josh Smith at the top of our lineup. He's just that guy that finds a way to get hits. He gets hits. He's hitting 285, which in today's game
is like
not too many people. Not too many people are hitting 285. I mentioned Seager. He's a star, and he had his struggles this year, but he's getting back into Adoli. I mentioned Simeon. You've got a Heim, Kyle Higashioshi. They're kind of a platoon at the catching position. But yeah, up and down that lineup, you got a young Evan Carter, who you just see. I call Evan. I said, "You're the left-handed Trey Turner." He's got that type of ability. Runs like the wind. Plays an unbelievable center field, and then our pitching staff. You got DeGrom and Evaldi anchoring it. Tyler Mahley's been hurt for us. He's going to be back in about a month, and the bullpen's done a nice job. So I have high hopes for this team in the second half. I know offensively 2 years ago, with a similar lineup, they were number one in baseball offensively. Well, that's not going to happen every year, but they're starting to get their groove back and starting to play really good. It's fun to watch because you know what they go through. Go ahead.
I got a question for you before we get talking about Jake and all that stuff. I guess my biggest question is, everyone's like, oh, the pitching's so much better. The pitching's so much better. And then you look and you're like, is that an excuse for guys having bad approaches, bad processes. Like I must admit, dude, is the pitching good? Yeah, it's good. It was good when we played too. And I know maybe more guys in the pen are throwing the average fastball is 94 now instead of 92. I get it. I understand all that. Guys have more pitch shapes, all that stuff. You still got to throw the ball out over the plate. You still got to have intentional focus of where you hit it. And I know a lot of times when I was breaking down the film of that starting pitch that night, dude, there's guys missing a lot of middle. I'm serious. So my question to you is, you're watching the film, you're doing the hitters meetings every night. Tell me, is the pitching that much better? What is it, dude?
All right, here's and it's kind of a, and I know it's a term we don't use. It's an old school thought of mine. Right. I'm going to be very fair in my analysis. So I've got to live it now. Our best weapon, we can watch all the film we want, but you know what's the best intel for us because of all the games we played? Sitting in the dugout and watching from the side. We know as a player what we were about to face that night. And now I know as a coach what my guys are about to face that night. I can tell velocity, spin, nastiness when I see a guy warming up, just like I could when I was a player. There's not a big difference. Yes, is the velocity up? I think across the board, especially because they're putting finances into bullpens now, which in our day they didn't really that wasn't a big thing. You put all your finances in the starting pitching, then you pair together a bullpen. Now there's actual money that goes to a bullpen, and guys are drafted to be bullpen guys. I think that's the biggest change. So the velocity, without a doubt, I think is up a tick across the board. And when I say a tick, maybe a point and a half, but I don't think it's as big as the guns read. I think the guns are different, and it's a game of numbers, and it's for fans, and they want to see 100, and they want to see exit velocity. I understand that. That's part of the entertainment. But I don't think the velocity is up that much. And I talk to hitters all the time, and I think, what has changed? Just in 2025, this is the first time the pitching's gotten better. I mean, I go back to my grandpa's generation, and he would be mocking my dad's generation, saying, Koufax, or I'm sorry, Bob Feller. And my dad would be going, well, Steve Carlton's pretty good. He's no Bob Feller. Then I'd get to, the Bob Boone. We'd be talking about Randy Johnson from our era.
Yeah, he's no Nolan Ryan.
Yeah, he's no Nolan Ryan. He's no Steve Carlton. And I'm going, Dad, Pedro and Smoltz and Maddox and
pretty good.
And Randy Johnson, they're pretty good. So then Dad
Billy Wagner.
Yeah. But Dad lived that generation as a manager, as a GM or as a vice president. So he came around and go, yeah, the guys were pretty good. So I think from a physicality point, I think as life goes on, I think naturally in every sport, we're going to progress a little bit and get a little better. We have more technology. We have more training techniques. These guys now have stuff that they need a certain amount of sleep. These are all positive things that can give you the most out of your particular skill set. But at the end of the day, when you just want to break it down as simple as possible, it's pretty simple. It's 2025. It's the best pitcher in the world 60 feet away, pitching against the best hitters in the world 60 feet away. And it's never been different in the last 150 years. It's always the best against the best. I see advantages to our generation, advantages to this generation. I'll tell you what, the strike zone in our generation was much wider, way bigger than it is now. I mean, these guys know the strike zone. If that ball is a tick off that box that is on every simulcast, they know. In our day, that tick off the box was a strike every time. And that's the difference. Yeah, we might not have had as high of a strike zone as they do. And that's where the velocity comes in. If you can hit the top of the zone in that box, it might be a little higher than our strike zone. But as far as east-west, it's not even close. So I think there's advantages to this era. I think there's advantages to our era. The only thing I will admit is the velocity is up a tick. But I also see a lot of throwers versus pitchers, if that makes sense.
Yeah, a ton of. Well, dude, now the catchers are setting up down the middle. They're just saying, hey, just tunnel everything right down the middle.
Right, and it is that spin on a consistent basis is there's more spin.
Right.
There's more movement consistently across the board. The great pitchers are still the great pitchers. The DeGroms
Exactly.
of the world. I get to watch DeGrom and Eovaldi pitch. These guys are mechanics. They're out there, and they're just it's a pleasure to watch them. We watched a Framber Valdez in Houston the other day, and he had a really good game against us. That's a professional right there. I mean, he just put that curveball right in that chase zone for our hitters, and it's just a long night. Sometimes you got to grind and find a way to score runs. So the great pitchers are just as great as the great pitchers of our generation, and the skill set is every bit the skill set that we played against. But to sit there and say it's so much tougher. Why is that? Why is Aaron Judge hitting 360? Is he just 10 times better than everybody else? I got another one for you.
Yes.
Albert Pujols finished his career unbelievable, right? The way he finished, the second half of the year he walked away.
Yeah.
He was an MVP at 42 years old against supposedly way better pitching. How is that possible? Yeah. So that's what I look at. The greats are still the greats.
Right.
But the pitching is for that individual. We grew up with, 90, 92 miles an hour. Well, maybe they grow up now with 92, 94 miles an hour at an amateur level, but you're used to it.
You're used to
it.
No.
My father grew up with 88. My grandpa, I wasn't around for my grandpa, but in high school, in my grandpa's days, they were probably throwing 84, 85. But that was the best in the world at the time, and that's all anybody knew. So that's why I don't think you can compare generations.
Yeah,
it's not really fair. You can't put the 1950 Pro Bowl team against the 2025 Pro Bowl team.
Right.
They're too much bigger, stronger, faster. And it's just the technology, the equipment, how they train. We can get into this forever. I still think it's the greatest game in the world. I love it. I love my guys. But you can sit here and debate it all you want, but the bottom line is, and once again, I'm going to reiterate, keep it simple. It's the best pitchers in the world against the best hitters in the world. It's always going to be that way.
Yeah, I love it. One thing, the last thing I'll say is I think the same thing. Like, if the pitching's that much better, why are guys still hitting 330, 350, 360? And there's guys doing it. So, like, I don't know. I just think sometimes there's a lot of big swings sometimes.
I think this too, Sean. In our generation, it was about average, home runs, RBIs. And today they're judged on hitting the ball over the fence and walking, OPS.
Right.
So usually as players in a generation, you're going to train to go after what gets the biggest payday. We knew in our generation, if we drive in 100 runs, that's what pays in arbitration. If you hit 300, that's what pays in arbitration. Today, what pays in arbitration is OPS. So that and because of that, that's how young players are brought up. And I don't blame them. If that's what the industry's, basing your salary on, you've got to kind of cater to that. So I see why we've gotten away from average and RBIs, but I still think at the core, the RBI guys are the guys that make the engine run, and they always will be. They talked about it a little bit last night at the All-Star game. I saw some clips of Hank Aaron and his quotes and how important the RBI was and how important scoring runs are. I still think that's really important. The guys that can drive them in the big situations, the guys that score a lot of runs, that's what wins games. And we can get it caught up in every part of the minutia you want. And we can debate this forever. But that's just kind of my thoughts.
I love hearing your opinion on this. Great stuff.
All right, I got a question. I got a question, Brett, because I know you got to get out of here. Which is tougher? I'll ask both of you. Sean, your son just got drafted. Congratulations. Can't wait to see him start his journey. Brett, you've got a son-in-law who's playing for the Braves. You've got Jake who played in the minor leagues. Which is tougher? Watching your hitters as a hitting coach go up there and climb in the box, which is more nerve-wracking, watching your guys that you're professionally paid to coach, or watching your own flesh and blood standing up there taking their hacks?
Boonie?
I thought, okay, when I was watching Jake in the minor leagues, I thought this is way tougher than actually when I was playing. And hitting to me, even in my best years offensively, hitting was really hard and always will be. I had to work at it and grind it out. hitting's just really hard. So when I would watch Jake, I just thought when he was struggling, man, it was tough to watch because once again, it's a lack of, you can't do anything about it. So I thought that was the pinnacle. I would have to say, coaching the guys in Texas, it's kind of equal. It's kind of equal. Like I said, they're my kids now. Now, obviously, I'm a little more biased to my actual kids, but from a professional standpoint and being on the sidelines, and I always call us, Sean, I tell the hitting guys, I said, I'll say player, and I'll point at a player, and I'll point at us, and I'll go, us, we're background players. We're still players, but we're background players. That's the important guys. We're the second most important when it comes to the offense. But I don't think, I think it's just kind of similar, Rich, when it comes to the emotion that gets involved, especially when you have high expectations, as we do in Texas. That's a talented offense, and we're good, and we're getting better as the season goes on. But I'd say it's kind of equal watching my son versus watching my now 12 or 13 sons.
Yeah, I think as a parent, you're always looking for your kid's happiness. That's the problem. You're like, oh man, you just want them to be happy. When you get hits, you're happier than when you don't get hits. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but I kind of agree with Boonie. I remember working with a young Anthony Volpe and Oswaldo Perez and Cabrera, Oswaldo Cabrera, and all these guys. Peraza and some of the young kids, and then even with Judgy and Stanton and these guys, Rizzo. I mean, you're living and dying. You get in the cages. You're watching film. You want to help them out. You're talking to them about hitting. What's the process? When they don't go out and do well, you're like, man, how can I not help them?
Right? Am I failing them?
Am I not saying the right thing? Yeah. Am I not saying the right thing? Am I not talking the right way? It's like it can be very frustrating. So you do. You feel like when you're in the dugout, like as Boonie is now, as I was with the Yankees, those guys feel like your kids, and you feel like you're letting them down if they're not doing well.
Bret, do you notice the lid that Sean's wearing?
TMG.
No. TMO.
TMO.
The mayor's office.
Yeah. He has hats.
Oh, 21.
He has hats. The mayor's office.
You guys don't have hats yet?
No, we have stickers.
And we have shirts.
We have shirts, but we don't have cool lids like that.
We don't have lids. I'm busy. Rich. Can't you have
Sean Casey?
Can't you have our people handle that?
Hey, look behind Sean. For those of you watching on YouTube, what do you see behind Sean's ear right there, Bret?
I see Sean's
jersey.
You see the jersey over the other ear. What do you see behind him, Bret?
I see I know that because Aaron Boone has that same lineup. It's the Reds on the line.
No, the gold behind him.
Oh, the Emmys.
Yeah.
Oh, hey.
My mom made him put me up. My mom made me put those up.
Let me tell you this. When I was still playing and I did the 2003 postseason when Aaron hit the home run.
Oh, that was awesome.
I was in the booth with Fox. We won an Emmy that year. Not Bret Boone, but the broadcast team, which, by the way, I didn't say much. I had nothing to do with it. But we did win an Emmy, and they told me, well, yeah, that Fox gets the Emmy. If you want an individual Emmy, you can order it, and they'll bring it to you. I never ordered it, but because I was on that coverage,
you have one.
I am an Emmy Award winner. See, I just don't flaunt it like Sean does.
Well, listen,
I put the gold gloves on.
I was gonna say those gold gloves, those are real. Those are real. How many gold gloves you win?
4.
4 gold gloves. That's better. I'd rather have 4 gold gloves than Emmys up there.
But I like, you know what, Sean? Maybe I'll let you. I could let you borrow one of my gloves. You let me borrow one of the Emmys.
I'll send you an Emmy, dude. I'll send you an Emmy. Send me one of those gold gloves.
One of them's Bob's, though. Those aren't all his behind him.
Well, I had to represent Dad. I didn't have.
Well, he's got so many. He didn't know what to do with them.
Dad has 7. Yeah, so I took one of Dad's just to display.
Did Arnie get any?
Arnie did not. But see, I'm you got Aaron in the background hitting the homer. I threw
that's
him
cool.
up there.
That's cool. And there's Pops up there. Yeah,
there's Pops. Yeah, he's tagging somebody out. So I try to represent everybody.
There you go. All right, Boonie. I know you got to go. Sean and I are going to chat for a little bit more. But
hold on, I want a quick thing.
Yes.
Tell Jacob congratulations on getting drafted. His journey.
I will.
And what did when he got what's Dad's because I remember my advice I gave Jake, which is I got straight from my dad, the advice he gave me on draft day. I want to know when he got drafted, what's Dad Sean Casey's advice to your son?
My advice to him is, first off, you got to seat at the table. All the stuff is, you're mid-major, you're doing this and that, a scout, what scout came to see you, that's all now done. You got to seat at the table. Now, at the end of the day, you got to go do what you got to do, and that's how you end up moving. You're in the dance. And my big thing, Boonie, is this: the only analytics you got to be worried about are 17 by 8 by 12. It's the size of the plate. If you can control yourself and be great going one pitch at a time. And I said, when you get into pro ball, you got to just get underwater, get good routines, get good processes for every single day and just make it the same and show up there and make pitch by pitch adjustments. And if you do that, you'll allow your athleticism to come out. You'll put up some numbers over the course of a year, and that's how you move. That's what I told him.
It's because this draft now, and we texted a little bit. You said, Boonie, it's different, how they pay you out and the money.
So different.
It's different. Ours was a negotiation. And I remember my draft story, which people have heard, that preseason comes out and I'm supposed to be like 27th in the nation pick. Well, it ends up, I go through the season and I end up being the first pick in the 5th round. Now, a young me was like, how dare you call me with a 5th round?
How dare you give me a seat at the table?
Right. And Sean, my dad is, you know him very well. You played for him.
Love Bob.
And I remember my dad's still in the big leagues at the time. And we're having this conversation, and I called my dad, and I said, Dad, how dare they draft me in the 5th round? I'm a first-round pick. Da, 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 da. And he's not saying anything. He's on the other end. He's probably going to go to the yard. He's got a game that night. He goes, are you done? I said, what are you talking about? Am I done? He goes, well, how long are we going to whine about this? Would you like me to make a phone call so they can redo the draft and you can maybe be a first-round pick? So he's essentially just mocking me.
So great.
And he goes, Bret, here's the deal. And he said, as soon as you realize that life isn't fair, maybe you should have been a higher pick, but you're not. You're a 5th round pick. That's the way it is right now. He goes, as soon as you find out that life isn't fair, life's going to be a little bit easier for you. So let's not worry about what you were righted, you were wronged. Let's worry about negotiating the best deal you can possibly get in the position you were picked. And I suggest you get your butt out and start playing. I said, why? Because I'm in the mode of
I'm holding out. I'm holding out.
And he goes, oh yeah, you're going to show them. He goes, how about this? What I think you should do. He said, if you go out, negotiate the best deal you can right now, get to playing. He said, they're going to probably send you to A-ball. He said, you can start your first full season in AA if you go out and do well. And you know what? I heeded that advice. I signed within a week. I got there. I had a good second half of the A-ball season, and my first year was in AA. I was in I was in the big leagues a year later. And he's right. If I would have held out and said, no, I'm not, I would have probably started my first full year in A-ball and everything would have been backed up a year. So it was great advice I got from him. And it just kind of put things in perspective. He said, Bret, whatever you negotiate, it's great. You might be able to get a car. You might have a little extra money. He goes, but the bottom line is you got to go play. And if you're not going to make it to the big leagues, he goes, you're going to have to go get a job and work in the real world like everybody else anyway. So it's not that big of a deal. And it kind of put things into perspective. And that's the first time I really took Dad's advice. And he helped me actually through my career. But it's funny what we go through as kids. And then as the adults looking on, like, been there, done that. And here's my advice. And sometimes your kids say, hey, Dad, that's great advice. Well, they rarely say that. But good advice, Dad. And usually it's like, you don't know. You don't know what it's like. Oh, I don't? Okay. Well, then you go on with what you do. And sometimes there's lessons too in that. We got to bang our head against the wall sometimes.
You can't teach experience. You got to go out and do it yourself. I love, though, that your dad said, when are you going to stop whining? Because I'm big on that too. Like, at the end of the day, it's like, okay, you can either have that mentality or just go have emotional resilience to say, hey, even though I'm 5th round or 15th round or whatever, let's go get them. And Boonie, I'm a big believer too. Like, I like to collect the chips. Everyone says you're too slow. You don't do this well. You don't play good defense. You don't camp for enough power. I'm like, oh yeah, collect the chip. And then I go out there in the box and I'm like, hey, I'm using that when I get in the box and I face that guy that's on the mound. Like, I'm about to show you who I am, and you're going to freaking know that I'm a great hitter.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
It's part of our journey. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Sean, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you
Boonie.
coming on. I know you and Rich are going to break down the first half because
No, we're gonna run our mouths and talk about you.
right. And I might be a little biased for that conversation, but I appreciate you as always, Sean, coming on. Best of luck. Check him out on the Mayor's Office podcast, also MLB,
which has hats.
Doing that, yeah, MLB Network. Sean's been there.
They have hats too.
Other than that, I am out. Back to the grind tomorrow, and stay in touch.
Yeah, Boonie, have a great All-Star break, dude. Tell Boach and those guys I said hi, and I'll be talking to you soon, man. Thanks, dude. Great seeing you, buddy.
You too.
All right, see you, Bret. Sean, let's talk about Bret for just a second.
Yeah.
What went through your mind when you saw the news when it popped up? Were you on TV or were you around?
I thought it was awesome. Yeah, I was not on TV, but I think I was at the network. I think I was at the network, and when it happened,
I think you were.
I think I was there. Yeah, I was at the network when it happened. Yeah, I thought it was great. I was texting with Arnie for a little bit, and then Bret and I talked, before he went out for his first day. I kind of gave him some advice about, because I think the biggest thing, Rich, is when you're going in there, you don't know anybody yet. So it's like, you don't want to go in there and start changing things. You got to build relationships with the guys. You haven't had spring training with them. So you're just coming in really, trying to be, show that they can trust you. So I think listen, when Bret Boone or the Boones are in the game, when Bob Boone or Bret Boone or Aaron Boone are in the game of baseball, the game of baseball is better. So I love the fact that Boach called Boonie and was like, hey, dude, what do you think? And I love that he took the job. What does the Boone family mean to you? Oh, my God, dude. You kidding me? You know what? I feel like one of the most blessed human beings alive for everything that's happened in my career. But I got to play with Aaron for 6 years. I got to be managed by Bob for 3. And I got to play with Bret for 1 year, my first year in the big leagues in 98. He was second baseman and Arnie was the third baseman. And then a couple years later, Bob was my manager. The wisdom and the knowledge, when I saw Aaron was going to be the, manager of the Yankees, and be like, oh, he has no managerial experience. I'm like, the guy's grown up from his grandfather, from Ray to his dad, to his brothers, to everything. I mean, to having 13 years playing, to being an all-star, he couldn't have been more ready to be a manager. And obviously he's shown it. And that's why I look at Bret. I'm like, man, Bret couldn't be more ready to be a hitting coach, bench coach, or a manager one day. I think he'd be incredible too. Bob was an incredible manager. We just had no pitching. Had we had any pitching, Bob would have been manager of the year. But we, in Cincinnati, the years he was there, he got fired because we had nothing on the mound. I mean, they didn't put the money. It's a shame when, when our ownership has so much money and we're not, spending it. It's just like was frustrating. So the Boones mean a lot to me, really a lot. And when I went to coach for the Yankees in that second half, one of the biggest reasons I did is because Aaron was asking me to do it.
Well, it's so interesting because Bret is following in your footsteps, jumping into the middle of the season. You don't have spring training. You don't know the little keys, right?
Yeah.
That when you put, I remember when I have this, it goes well, and you don't have those things because you haven't been around them enough, and you're trying to learn on the fly. You got the media yelling. You're in New York. Media's yelling, screaming every time Aaron Judge doesn't go 5 for 5 with 5 home runs.
Right.
So you have all that pressure on you. What's the toughest part? Is it the physical part? Is it the mental part? Or is it just the trying to get to know the guys?
I think the toughest part is the mental part of the game being so hard and that guys are going to struggle. And when you're the coach in any capacity, you feel the need to help these guys. And when you feel like you're not saying the right things, or maybe you're not unlocking some of the things that drives you crazy. But at the end of the day, I think as a hitting coach, you're more of a mental coach than anything. These guys are in the big leagues. They have their swings. They know their keys. I think it's more a thought process of like, what's your process at the plate? Stay aggressive, making sure you're talking to yourself the right way and being prepared in the meetings. I mean, the one thing I realized, Rich, is players love that. We had meetings every single day. You know what I mean? And, players want the information. They want to know what's going on. They want to know percentages, when guys are, how many sliders is this guy throwing and what count, curveballs, what's he going to with 2 strikes? What's this lefty reliever going to start you off with? There's a lot of work that goes into being a coach nowadays in the big leagues. Tons.
Well, one of the things that Brett and I have talked about before he got this job, you saw it when you got there, the paralysis of analysis. You have so much information. It's drinking water out of a fire hose and figuring out what I can use and what is just getting in my way. I think it's something tough in the game right now because there's just so much out there.
There's so much, and you got to find the guys and what they want. Do they want vertical angle, horizontal angle? Do they want what do they want? Some guys don't want any. I didn't want a lot when I played because I wanted to really trust my eyes. Even when guys would tip pitches, I'd be like, I don't want them because I just want to hunt the fastball and trust my eyes for anything that shows up, whether it's curveball, slide, or changeup. But they have everything nowadays. I mean, they have everything on everybody. It's incredible. So as a coach, I think it's your job too to make sure you know each player and what information they want, what's too much and what's not enough.
By the way, you do know that I built a lot of my broadcast career by stealing that phrase from you.
What?
Hunting fastballs.
Oh, did you?
So when I worked for the Tampa Bay Rays and they just started, the network was really young.
Yeah.
MLB Network. They would go, hey, can you put some of our hosts on and have them talk about it? So you would come on the Rays pregame show with me. You're not going to remember this. But we talked one day for like 10 minutes about hunting fastballs. Yeah. And I said, hey, can I steal that? He goes, yeah, go ahead. And I don't even know if you knew that it was going to be a thing. And I've used it ever since. So I give credit for that. We're hunting fastballs. We're getting into a leverage count. We want to get in that hitter's count.
That's it.
That's we're looking for that advantage.
Yeah, and you want to stay aggressive. You want to set a state with your breath to be able to hit. You want to have a calm aggression and be ready to go. Drive the baseball.
Before we get into the second half, one more thing. The relationship between the hitting coach and the skipper. It's probably as close to a trust thing as you can find. Because if you're a pitcher and you have a pitching coach, that's different because they're on their own little program. But as the manager, you're right there depending on that hitting coach. Talk about the relationship that you have. You obviously had Arnie, Uncle Aaron. Brett's got Boch. Both of you have so much respect for each other. That relationship, because he's going to get frustrated. Arnie's going to come over. You're like, what's going on here? Yeah.
Well, you know what? I remember Arnie was like, I remember that first day. I'm like, well, dude, what do you want me to do? He's like, I want you to do whatever you want to do. He's like, you're the hitting coach. And I'm like, wow. All right. So I'm like, here I go. And so I, kind of did it my way, and I kind of love that he gave me that rope. I kind of love that he was like, do what you got to do. But he would ask me, hey, how come so-and-so's, it looks like he's not like, where's the barrel awareness? He's, it looks like a lot of arms or, what about this? What about that? Like he would come up to me, Boonie was funny. He would say a lot to me during the games. Like guy would take a bad swing or punch out. He'd look at me and go, what's going on with him? What's going on? And I'm like, we're working, bro. It's almost like it's funny. Even with the manager, you're defending your hitters. Like, hey, dude, he's working. We're trying to figure it out, trying to get it going. Like, you stay over there and manage. We'll stay over here and do the hitting. All right, pal. So it's kind of funny, like that relationship. I think Boonie got on me more during the games when a guy would like take a bad swing or a bad approach and look at me like, what's going on? Like, you're right. I'll talk to him.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Oh, by the way, since we did bring up Uncle Aaron to come up with Arnie, how good are Arnie's snaps when you're sitting there as his hitting coach and he's getting run arguing over the strike zone?
The best. Oh, I was there for the best one with the Laz Diaz one in Chicago when he does the, does that. It was incredible. His snaps are great. And dude, he gets going. Like Carlos Mendoza was the bench coach and Boonie would get going. I'm like, oh, he's going already. Second pitch of the game. This guy's yelling. It's like Bobby Cox, new Bobby Cox. You know what I mean? It's like incredible. So Arnie's the best. Listen, one thing about Boonie that I've known forever, like injustice, he doesn't stand for us. Like if he feels like the ump's not doing his job and kind of screwing over his players, he can't help himself.
No,
that's who he is. He's always
Does it build? Does it build?
Oh yeah,
crescendo like one pitch, two pitch. I know we're not allowed to keep score.
Yeah, it builds. And when the umpire gets on him, though, that's enough, Boonie. One more and you're out of here in the second inning. He cleans it up to like the eighth.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Being a hitting coach after all that career, then being on television, then going back in uniform for a bit, has that made you a better broadcaster?
Oh, no doubt about it. Oh, no doubt, Rich. Like even coming back, be like, wow, man, you're even better now because now you're in it. When you're in that dugout and you're in that clubhouse and you're running meetings and you're with the guys and you got the numbers, you see what's behind the curtain in this day and age. It helps you when you're on air because you can really tell the viewer, you can really speak in that different language, almost the coach's language, the player's language, of what's going on. So yeah, no doubt it's helped me as a broadcaster. No, 100%.
Do you appreciate hitting coaches more?
Oh my
Now that
God.
you've done it?
You kidding me? Dude, these guys are showing up at noon. They're leaving at midnight and they're staying with guys late. They're coming in early. You're going to watch film. You're trying to show guys film. You're breaking down all the pitching, the pitchers and the numbers, and you got the scouting reports, and you got 4 guys under you. So you're in a meeting every day, a meeting before the meeting. So I mean, that's so much respect for these guys and what they do. So much.
Amazing. Let's get to it. Let's get to the second half predictions. Well, let me just start with this in the first half. Biggest surprise for you?
Biggest surprise.
Is it the Tigers?
I mean, they're not so surprising, but I think that I'm surprised that they're as good as they are. I think that's definitely, really surprised that the Tigers are 59-38. I knew they were going to be good, but not 21 games over 500 at the break good. I mean, that's pretty surprising to me. I would say one of the other surprises for me is that Houston's 56-40. Them losing Bregman and Tucker and Presley, I felt like they were just kind of like, okay, we're in rebuilding mode, and it turns out they're still one of the best teams in baseball. So I'm very surprised by them, no doubt about it. And, if you'd have told me that Boston was going to win 10 in a row going into the break, I'd said you were crazy after trading Rafael Devers. I think that was a big surprise, too, that they unloaded him. That might have been one of the biggest surprises of the first half.
How about the amount of managers that have already been run this year?
Yeah.
I come off of that Tampa Bay Ray organization, and 2 of my guys have just been given the boot, Davey Martinez and
Derek Shelton.
And Derek Shelton. And then you see, Baltimore is going to be looking for manager. There's more managers that have been fired before the All-Star break than I can remember.
Yeah, well, guys want results. Teams want results. And, if you've been there, Shelty was there 6 years. I was surprised about Brandon Hyde, because they're so close. I mean, they've been great the last couple of years. I almost blame it on Corbin Burns is gone. Eflin's been banged up. Grayson Rodriguez is the guy that we're going to lean on, but he's been hurt. So it's like, I don't think they've really had the pitching. Kyle Stowers, they might have got rid of the wrong guy when they were, trading guys. They traded him to the Marlins, and all of a sudden he's one of the best hitters in baseball for power. So yeah, it's I think the managers, someone's got to take the accountability when when things don't go right, and usually it's the manager that goes.
Wow. I mean, it's just, we'll see, because there's going to be more managers that are going to get the boot as well. And I'm telling people, I'm not going to be surprised if Bret gets a couple interviews.
Oh, no doubt about it. No doubt. I think Bret would be a great manager.
Let's talk about what you think we're going to see in the second half. Give me some thoughts. We'll start with the American League.
Well, I think the Yankees are going to make a real push. I think they're going to get something at the deadline. I'd be shocked if they're not going to go out and get a Joe Ryan or get somebody that's a starter that they could fill into that rotation. Let me see what else. I think Texas is going to make a run. I think Boonie's right. They're starting to get the hitting going. They're 1 game below 500. I think that's going to be a 3-team race. I think the Angels will fall off, but it'll be Houston, Seattle, and Texas, no doubt about it. I think I love the Central. I think I love that Milwaukee's 1 game back, because we keep talking about the Cubs and how good they are, but then you look up and you're like, Pat Murphy has those boys playing, and they're really good. And Mizorowski, that the young kid that's throwing 103 miles an hour, routinely, is now in that rotation. They got Andrew Vaughn slipping in there too. Yelich, those guys are playing well, which has been pretty impressive. And I'm excited in the second half to see Shohei start to become a real starting pitcher again. What is the most he's thrown? 3 innings?
Right.
I'm looking forward to seeing him get 6-7 innings and seeing what he can do in the second half and the numbers that he can put up. Because, I know nowadays these guys are getting I don't think it should be called Tommy John surgery anymore. It should be called internal brace surgery. That internal brace is a real deal. It's like a collagen, it's like almost like a shoelace.
Right.
And they take it and they put the pins in there and then they figure eight that thing in. Like, these guys aren't blowing. You get a second Tommy John or a first Tommy John now, that's going to be the least of your worries moving forward. I really believe that.
100%. Let's go out to the West for just a second. The Dodgers, they're the defending champions.
Yeah.
Do you see anybody that is going to challenge them and keep them from getting back to the World Series?
You know what? I mean, obviously they've kind of limped into the All-Star break. They're pitching for being 10 guys deep. They've been pretty banged up. I mean, Glass now, is just coming back, but he's been out all year. Snell's been out all year. Yamamoto's been kind of a savior for them. He's been really good. Dustin May, I worry a little bit about the starting pitch, and that's why I look and I say, can Shohei be a starter as opposed to an opener? You know what I mean? But they're too good. I think they're loaded. Kershaw's back too. And that bullpen is really, really good. I think that's where they really prosper. Dave Roberts does a great job of using them. But the lineup, man, Ohtani, I think Betts has been just okay this year. He's probably going to get hot in the second half. Freddie Freeman will too, but Max Muncy's been swinging it well this year with getting the glasses. And I just think they got a really good team. Teoscar Hernandez just got back off the DL, so I'd be shocked if they don't come out of the break, rejuvenated and ready to go.
So would I be crazy to say it's the Dodgers versus the National League?
Yeah. I mean, come postseason time, you're going to see the Dodgers, no doubt about it. But the Cubs are really good. There's some really good teams this year. The Cubs are really good. The Brewers are really good. The Phillies are really good. The Mets are really good. So they got some. They're going to have definitely. They'll be in a dogfight come postseason time, but they're no doubt going to win the West and get into that postseason pretty easy. Probably getting that first round bye.
And then let's go over to the American League quickly. Yankees defending American League champions. They're sitting at second place right now. They're waiting to get things going. Give me your top three. Leave the Yankees out. We're not going to make you pick against Uncle Aaron on this podcast. But give me three teams to beat in the American League.
Well, the Tigers are the real deal with Skubal in that rotation. The way that bullpen has been used. Riley Green kind of coming on the scene. Torkelson's hitting the ball at the ballpark. Colt Keith's even better at the top of that lineup. Kerry Carpenter is going to be coming back at some point. I feel like A.J. Hinch is one of the best managers in the game. I feel like they're sitting well. I think Houston's a real deal, no doubt about that. I still think Seattle and Texas have a chance to make a run in the West out there. Seattle's pitching is too good not to. I think Julio Rodriguez, man, you're always waiting for him to get going. So hopefully he gets going in the second half. And I think Boston's going to be there. They're going to make a run. That team's a good-looking team, and I wouldn't be surprised if they went and got some more pitching at the break. It's gonna matter, Rich, who does what at the deadline too. I think that's going to matter big.
Who are the guys that you guys are talking about on the network that could be looking for new area codes?
I mean, there's a lot of different guys. Like I just said, Joe Ryan would be one of those guys. Sandy Alcantara obviously hasn't had one of the best years, but he's still got great stuff. I mean, he could be in there for a trade piece. It depends really, which teams are sellers right now. You think to the Arizona Diamondbacks, they got Suarez could be the third baseman that the Yankees need. You got Josh Naylor, who's having a great year. He could be a big bat, free agent at the end of the year. Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly would be great rotation pieces to go into any team that needs, rotation help. So Arizona could be like the Nordstroms of the deadline.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, hey, we've taken a lot of your time. We appreciate it. A couple favors though.
Yeah.
That Bob and Sue Boone listen to every one of these podcasts. They all watch them. So you got any words for Bret and Aaron's dad?
First off, I love Bob and Sue. I want to tell Sue hi. I hope she's great. She was one of my favorite people I've ever come across in life, probably. And like I said, the Boone family and Bob was like a father figure to me, when I was, young kid coming up. Those years I was like 27, 28, 29. I'd learned so much from him. Being around Bob, that's being around him and Tim Foley. Foley was great too. I felt like they saw baseball through a different lens. Like Bob's, the way Bob saw the game, I'm like, man, never thought of that before. And that's when I thought to myself, man, there's another level of baseball to understand the game. And Bob was one of my favorite managers of all time. And like I said, had we had any pitching, Bob would have been manager of the year. Like we had no pitching. It's incredible. So yeah, I want to say Bob and Sue, hope you guys are great. And tell Matt I said hello to, and I'm sure he's selling a lot of carpets out there or turf or whatever he's doing.
He is. He's the most successful
He's
out of
doing
all
better
of them.
than anybody. Yeah.
Exactly. Everybody loves Boone, the Boone family and Maddie as well. So hey, I just want to say thanks to come on. Like I said, enjoy watching on television, the mayor's office, the fact that we get to have you come on this podcast. And hey, listen, I'm gonna be watching, because I think as all these managerial jobs open up, I think people are going to probably talk about our other Boonie.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about it. I'd be shocked if Bret, if he wants to, would have the opportunity to manage one day. Really, and he would be a great manager. And like being with Arnie in New York, people say, "Oh, what about tell me about Boonie and all." He's one of the best managers in the game. What he has to navigate there in New York, all the meetings he has to talk through, the media he has to deal with. There's so much going on there in New York. It's not being like Kevin Cash out there in Tampa, who's just kicking back in his chair, sipping on pina coladas. You know,
sitting in Arnie's office for spring training, right?
Yeah, dude. Cash is one of my favorite too, man. Cash. How about this for the bench when I was in Boston in 08? This was the bench. Me, Alex Cora, Kevin Cash, and David Ross. I got to get into the managerial job at some point so I can make sure that we all were managers in the big leagues. You know what I mean?
That is outstanding. That is outstanding. All right. Hold on just 1 second. That's going to do it for the Boone podcast for today, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll catch up with you next time.